Hi everyone. Today we had an absolute bloodbath in markets. We talked about that being a possibility yesterday, and we got candle after candle after candle of straight downward price action. Broke a bunch of levels. Let's take a quick review before we head into the weekend. Do me a quick favor and like and subscribe and watch the video till the end to help out the channel, and let's get started. Moving over to fear and greed. Fear and greed ended up at a 35 from a 45, so big drop there. Obviously extreme fear on the momentum, probably headed back to that 125 EMA if I had to guess. Strength rolling over, it's been rolling over back into extreme fear there. Breadth rolling down, fear as well. Put call ratio, this was an extreme greed yesterday, starting to see that bounce up a little bit. Volatility neutral but bouncing. I'm sure we went much higher into the 18.5 area, somewhere in there. Safe haven demand rolling down significantly, bonds doing better as we expected, and then junk bonds. Even junk bonds moved down into fear, so pretty quickly into a lot of fear metrics. Moving over to Max Pain. Max Pain was 601. Stock price ended up right around there, 599 to 600, so right around the Max Pain number. Max Pain continues to be relevant. You can see put walls here, 600 to 602. Makes sense that we kind of stopped in that area. Call walls, 605, so we ended up between the puts and the calls. Makes sense. Actually got a nice Max Pain finish there for this third week options expiration. And then moving over to the charts here just briefly, look at that candle, 1.71% lower, all the way down to that 599.64 level, broke all of these trends here, so we had the rising wedge, failed to break out. We sold off now into the trend here. 55 EMA there as well, 599.28. If this breaks, your next support is 591, and then I have trend support down here, 588. Momentum bearish, RSI bearish, huge volume on the day. Everything says this should be breaking down. We've held this bearish thesis, especially if this was going to double top. We took it out just barely. So far we've sold off. Everything looks pretty rough here, and you can see it on the hourly chart. Straight down candles. You had one hesitation here on the 10 o'clock candle. Everything else was straight selling right to the level 599.64, and that is where we paused. You can see a lot of volume coming through at the end. Maybe we see a slight retracement, but would not expect anything to hold. This is a lot of selling on volume. Moving over to the Tasty charts, obviously we fell way below that lowest band. Look at the volume, absolutely massive, all day selling volume. Definitely something happening, shifting in markets. ATR trailing stop pulled all the way down here to 607.13. So big move down. Just a little bit ago we were at the 611, 612 area in here, and now we've moved all the way down to 607. So just about 1% behind price. So far, everything says really bearish. But again, when you're so extended, wouldn't shock me to see just a little bit of a retracement, then a kind of pullback in time, consolidation, and then expect that to sell a little bit more to some lower lows. Moving over to the NASDAQ, even worse here, down over 2%, 2.08%, momentum bearish, RSI bearish, everything breaking down as we expected. We said it looked weak yesterday, caught a small bounce, retested the zone, and then sold off. You can see it here on the hourly, straight selling, everything looks bad, volume looks just about the same. 55 EMA on the Qs is 523.16, broke my 526.50 level, so for me, I am out of all of these positions. My next support would be 519.48, that's where I'd be looking for some support. Maybe you trade off the 55, maybe you look for a short-term bounce if we can get back above 526.50 potentially, but for right now, following my rules, all of my levels are broken. My next support is here, 519.48. Looking at the Tasty charts here just for a moment, you can see that extreme selling. The lowest ATR band here is 529.26, so maybe we see a little bit of a retracement. Trailing stop right now, 531.12. Continued to downtrend all session. In terms of support areas, you can see we're back into this zone back here from the 11th, kind of 12th zone. Certainly could hold this, maybe bounce slightly, like I said. We're just so extended, it wouldn't shock me to see this kind of grind a little bit before we get the continuation, but tons of selling, huge volume, everything looks weak, and I am definitely bearish on this market at this point. Moving over to the Russell and the Dow. Russell was down 2.88%, lots and lots of selling, just like everything else. Broke the structure here, broke my level to 21.49, went right to the next one to 18.13, broke that level, closed below it. So again, based on my rules, my next support is here, 214.76. Momentum bearish, RSI very bearish. Probably going to get to at least oversold conditions. It's at a 35.38, so a little bit more room there. Dow, same thesis, 1.86%, probably mostly driven by United Health. They had a bit of a lawsuit coming through, definitely interesting there. And then my level, 432.78, that's the next support here for the Dow. Got a gap here, we'll see, maybe it comes back, fills the gap, sells some more. Does it hold this level? Certainly could. You could try to buy this level. If it cuts right through it, my next level is going to be 426.21. And then below that, you got the 144 EMA there at 425.12. Moving over to the Mag 7. Mag 7 sold off even more than the NASDAQ, 2.35%, right to the level 315.04, critical zone. We talked about it yesterday. We figured that's where it was going, and sure enough, it did. Broke that 55 EMA, so you finally broke below this kind of consolidation. It's been a long time. Momentum bearish, RSI bearish. If this breaks, 305.25 is the next level. Right now, you could trade off it. It has not broken on a closing basis, but I would be very cautious here. If it goes, it's got another $10 of potential downside to that next level, at least for me. And you can see that is the wick highs back here from November. And then some quick highlights on the day. You can see Apple holding in extremely well, down just 0.11% through a big wick, did sell off, did end up negative, momentum rolling down a little bit, but Apple hung in there really, really strong. And then Microsoft down pretty much in line with everything else. It had a nice little pop off the quantum, hit the 21 EMA zone, and then started to sell. 413.36 broke again to the downside. So at this point, still looking for 394. I've been saying it forever, but you had a level break here, so you could have sold short at that level. So far, so good. Looking for this 394 level 22 there as your next support. Next up, we got Tesla and NVIDIA. Both of these were a dumpster fire, 4.68 and 4.05% to the downside. Momentum resuming to bearish, RSI breaking back below the SMA. You still got the trend here. You still got the level, 336.67. That did hold on a closing basis. We tested it today. Is it going to hold? Maybe. You could say low, higher low potentially. Still got the trend. If the trend holds, you're in good shape. Structurally, doesn't look great, but it could be a zone where it holds in here. And then you got NVIDIA engulfing all of these previous candles back below the highly traded zone. Next support for me, 130.35. If it comes here and holds, good shape. Momentum says it probably won't. RSI is right here. It's probably going to get tested on the Monday, and then we'll see if it holds. But again, I would be cautious to the long side. Everything looks pretty rough. You had a nice rally. You had a consolidation at resistance. You sold off from the level. 140.67 was the level. We talked about it 3 days in a row, said this was a zone of resistance, and so far, so good to the short side. Moving over to the most risk-off markets we've seen in a very long time, you can see Staples up 1.17%, continues to be a rocket ship, just stepping higher consistently since mid-January. We've been talking about it. Staples is the place to be, at least for now. Discretionaries, dumpster fire, 2.63% to the downside, right at these lows back here from 13 January. Realistically, I'm looking for 215.06. I would expect this zone to break here, but for now, it is holding it. Quick look at the dollar. The dollar held up. That makes sense. The dollar was positive on the day. Usually when equities go down, the dollar goes up. People are selling equities and technically buying dollars. So far, so good. It had a big down day yesterday, but so far, grinding higher a little bit. This kind of looks like a bear flag, potentially. Kind of similar to the price action here, which you can see here. So that looks kind of bear flaggy. Consolidation, broke this trend here. Clean move to the downside. We'll see. We'll see if it does that again. Structurally, short term, at least since mid-January, this has been downtrending. But don't forget, the medium to long term since mid-September here has been quite bullish. So I would still expect a higher low, maybe a head and shoulders with the left shoulder, head, maybe we bounce here, right shoulder potentially, retest somewhere in there. Makes sense. Really, for me, the dollar could go either way. You do have some mixed signals. Moving over to bonds just for a second, J&K sold off, but after hours it's popping, really not much, down 14 cents, engulfed all of that to the upside. On the after hours action, you can see 96.80 on the after hours, so it's jumped about 17 cents, so nice there. And then looking at TLT, big pop there, 1.21%, momentum bullish, RSI bullish. We said this was the low, looked like a consolidation here, kind of left shoulder, head, right shoulder potentially, and still looking for this to push to that 92.82 area. So nice day there on TLT. I've been saying buy bonds here for a long time, and so far so good on that. Moving over to volatility. Volatility spiked. Let's drag out this one here. Yep, came right to it. Makes sense. You can see marks this low, kind of choppy through here, but we came right to it. Hit that 1850 level. We said we were probably coming to at least to 17. 1850 was in play. Momentum bullish, RSI bullish. I think there's a little bit more to go here. If we come up to this trend, that would take us to 24. That would mean quite a bit more selling to come. So we'll see, watching this kind of channel here. Moving over to my accounts, I managed to lose very little money, just $270 on a day where the NASDAQ was down 2%, so you like to see it. I was prepared and I took off my positions at good prices. I could have been a little bit more aggressive and maybe even made a little bit of money on the day, but either way, I played it quite well. I was happy with the way that I traded. Held in there really strong, 273 on the day where I could have been down well over $2,000, so good on me. So far, so good. In terms of positions, I don't have anything on here except some treasury bills in my IRA. And I do want to mention the only reason that I'm not short here is because I do think we might see a short-term bounce. We're really extended, so sometimes you see a short-term bounce, but I would absolutely be looking for some short positions. If we did see a slight rally, look for those shorts. I think that's the market we're in, at least for now. Let me know down in the comment section what you thought of the markets today. How did you do? Were you able to make a little bit of money? Did you at least save some losses? Let me know. Otherwise, like and subscribe if you got any value out of this video. Make sure you hit the bell so you don't miss out on any future episodes. Of course, none of this is financial advice. This is all for entertainment purposes. Good luck in your trading and have a great day.